With over 5,000 sailors living, working, and navigating life aboard a nuclear aircraft carrier, one question lingers. Is having sexual relationships truly possible in such a confined, highly regulated environment? The pressures of duty, the lack of privacy, and strict military rules create unique challenges, ones that may not have an easy answer. Today, we dive into the realities of personal connections aboard one of the world's most powerful vessels, where privacy is a rarity and relationships face the ultimate test. Life on a nuclear aircraft carrier is unlike anything else. It's a floating city, a place where thousands of sailors live and work around the clock, all while constantly moving through some of the world's most unpredictable waters. But this city isn't spacious. It's designed with efficiency in mind. Every corner is optimized for work, leaving little room for personal space. Sailors sleep in cramped quarters, work in tight spaces, and spend nearly every waking moment surrounded by others. Even during downtime, they're rarely alone. The physical environment makes it difficult to find a moment to themselves, let alone form deeper connections. From dawn to dusk, sailors perform essential duties, whether that's maintaining engines, managing the complex operations on the flight deck, or ensuring communications with command remain uninterrupted. It's not unusual for sailors to work 12 to 16-hour shifts, often rotating between different roles depending on the needs of the mission. The entire ship is in a state of constant readiness. The flight deck is bustling with activity, fighter jets taking off and landing, maintenance crews working tirelessly to ensure everything runs like clockwork. Down below, the engine rooms hum with activity, while sailors manage the power needed to keep the ship moving. Even during off hours, there's little peace and quiet, with every part of the ship serving a functional purpose. After long shifts, when it's time to wind down, sailors find themselves sharing tight spaces with their shipmates. Whether they're in the mess hall, grabbing a quick meal, or in the gym, working out, there's always someone nearby. Privacy is nearly impossible to come by. But the physical setup is only one challenge. It's the strict Navy regulations that present the biggest hurdle. To keep such a high-stakes operation running smoothly, the Navy enforces strict rules governing personal behavior on board. Sailors must maintain professionalism at all times, and any form of physical intimacy is strictly prohibited. These rules are not just suggestions. They're designed to keep the mission in focus and avoid the complications that personal relationships can bring. Violation of these rules can lead to serious consequences, ranging from disciplinary action to career-ending punishments. The need to maintain order and prevent distractions is paramount on a vessel where every second counts. In an environment where lives are constantly at risk and every moment matters, the Navy has established these regulations to prevent emotional conflicts from interfering with the mission. Imagine a relationship turning sour or an emotional fallout between crew members. It could create tension, distract sailors from their duties, and compromise the safety of the entire vessel. These strict rules are also in place to prevent issues like favoritism, jealousy, or even worse, sexual harassment or misconduct. With thousands of sailors sharing close quarters, any conflict could easily spiral into a problem that affects the entire crew. This is why the Navy enforces a zero-tolerance policy when it comes to personal relationships interfering with professional duties. Even with these rules in place, sailors are human. Emotional connections still form, and the need for companionship doesn't simply disappear while at sea. Despite the strict regulations, sailors still find ways to form emotional bonds with each other. The long deployments, shared experiences, and intense conditions create a sense of camaraderie that's hard to find anywhere else. Friendships turn into support systems, and emotional connections often grow deeper than anyone anticipates. These bonds provide critical emotional support during months at sea, helping sailors cope with isolation and the stresses of military life. While these connections might not always cross into romantic territory, they're certainly a lifeline for many. Sailors often find themselves sharing personal stories during late-night shifts when they're working side by side in the cold or during moments of downtime. The The long hours and the sense of isolation from the outside world create a perfect environment for these emotional connections to deepen. Many sailors develop strong friendships that help them cope with the physical and emotional challenges of life at sea. From helping each other with physical tasks to offering emotional support during difficult times, these bonds are crucial for maintaining morale. Many sailors say that without the friendships they've made on board, the months spent at sea would feel unbearable. But what happens when these emotional bonds go beyond friendship? How do sailors navigate the line between emotional support and something deeper? In such a confined and high-pressure environment, some relationships move beyond emotional support. Despite the strict regulations, unspoken or hidden relationships can still form. These are relationships that exist in a gray area, where the emotional bond is stronger than just friendship, but the risk of discovery keeps them from becoming something more. Sailors must carefully navigate these unspoken connections, knowing that any sign of a relationship crossing into forbidden territory could have severe consequences. The close quarters and constant observation make maintaining these relationships a delicate balancing act. For those sailors who do form these unspoken relationships, the constant need for secrecy adds a layer of stress to an already difficult environment. Every interaction must be carefully managed, and the emotional weight of balancing personal desires with professional duties becomes harder with each passing day. If a relationship crosses the line and is discovered, the consequences can be devastating, not just for the individuals involved, but for the entire crew. The Navy enforces strict disciplinary action, which could lead to loss of rank, separation from the ship, or even discharge from the service. For sailors in these gray area relationships, the stakes are incredibly high. But while emotional bonds can grow stronger, the physical challenges on board make intimacy almost impossible. Even if the Navy allowed it, the physical logistics of a nuclear aircraft carrier make intimacy incredibly difficult. Sailors sleep in bunk beds stacked one on top of the other, often with less than a foot of space between them. Privacy is virtually non-existent, with sailors constantly surrounded by their shipmates. Between the endless noise of machinery, the constant activity on board, and the cramped living conditions, finding a private moment to connect with someone else is almost impossible. Sailors quickly learn to adapt to life without the personal space they might have on land. Imagine spending months without a single moment to yourself. The sense of always being surrounded, of never having true solitude, can wear down even the most resilient sailors. The constant need to be on, whether during work or even during moments of rest, creates a psychological strain. This lack of privacy extends to everything: personal hygiene, moments of reflection, and even how sailors interact with their own emotions. Even for those who may have developed deeper emotional connections, the lack of privacy makes any form of intimacy practically impossible. The walls are thin, and every sound is heard by others nearby. For sailors who crave human connection, these barriers can be frustrating. But the need for connection doesn't go away just because of the physical barriers. So how do sailors cope with the emotional strain of life at sea? To manage the emotional strain of long deployments and the lack of intimate relationships, sailors develop various coping mechanisms. Many turn to their shipmates for emotional support, relying on the bonds they've formed to keep their spirits high. Others find comfort in routines, whether it's physical exercise, shared meals, or personal hobbies. Show sailors working out, playing cards, or writing letters home. The Navy also provides resources such as mental health counseling and support programs to help sailors maintain their well-being. For many, it's the camaraderie and shared sense of purpose that help them endure the emotional isolation of life on board. Physical exercise plays a huge role for many sailors, offering a way to release stress and stay in shape during long months at sea. The ship's gym becomes a sanctuary for those looking to clear their minds, and many sailors establish a daily workout routine that helps them maintain focus and discipline. Hobbies such as reading, drawing, and writing letters home also help sailors stay connected with the outside world. But even with these coping mechanisms, There's no denying that life on a nuclear aircraft carrier presents challenges to emotional connections. So, can sailors truly be intimate aboard a nuclear aircraft carrier? The answer is more complex than it seems. While official regulations prohibit physical intimacy, emotional connections still form in powerful ways. These bonds, built through shared hardships and long deployments, help sailors cope with the isolation and stress of life at sea. Although the rules make it difficult for personal relationships to flourish in the traditional sense, the need for connection never truly disappears. Sailors find strength in their friendships, their camaraderie, and their resilience. Have you ever witnessed the strength of connections in challenging environments? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories about life aboard military vessels.